Making headlines this hour, President Dr. Muiz extends greetings to the leadership and people of Saudi Arabia on the kingdom's National Day. President Dr. Muiz announces a sweeping set of financial reforms intended to stabilize the Maldivian economy, dismantle the US dollar black or parallel market, and broaden access to affordable housing. And President Dr. Muiz, during an official visit to Kolofushi in Meme Atoll as part of a multi-atoll tour, unveils a series of development initiatives aimed at addressing housing shortages and advancing local infrastructure. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammed Muiz extends greetings to the leadership and people of Saudi Arabia on the kingdom's National Day. In his letters, President Dr. Muiz conveyed sincere felicitations to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, and to the Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia. He expressed the Maldives' deep appreciation for the close and historic ties between the two nations, founded on shared Islamic values, mutual respect, and enduring solidarity. The president reaffirmed the Maldives' commitment to strengthening its brotherly partnership with Saudi Arabia, emphasizing the importance of continued collaboration for the benefit of both nations and the wider Islamic Ummah. He also acknowledged the kingdom's generous support over the years, including its contribution to the development of Villana International Airport, or VIA, a milestone on bilateral cooperation. President Dr. Muiz also posted on his official X account, highlighting Saudi Arabia's unwavering friendship and development assistance to the Maldives, expressing confidence in further strengthening ties in the years ahead. President Dr. Mohammed Muiz announces a sweeping set of financial reforms intended to stabilize the Maldivian economy, dismantle the US dollar black or parallel market, and broaden access to affordable housing. Addressing residents of Muli in the Meme Atoll, President Muiz outlined a strategy to increase foreign currency availability and extend long-term housing loans through the National Bank. He described the measures as a rescue from the slavery of the dollar parallel market and said they were designed to improve the prosperity of Maldivian citizens. The reforms follow the Foreign Currency Act, which took effect on the 1st of January and requires certain businesses, particularly in the tourism sector, to convert a portion of their foreign currency earnings through local banks. The president noted that the law has already boosted dollar reserves and increased foreign currency inflows from tourism, easing the nation's dollar shortage. From the 11th of November, the government will introduce measures to improve access to foreign currency. A central element is the installation of US dollar automated teller machines, or ATMs, on 40 islands currently without them, with priority given to the country's 7 designated urban centers and islands with developed tourism sectors. President Muiz also announced the easing of restrictions on overseas transactions through the Bank of Maldives, or BML. To reduce reliance on the US dollar, the government will promote the use of other major currencies in trade and commerce. BML will begin offering accounts denominated in Chinese yuan, supported by Union Pay debit and credit cards accepted in more than 180 countries from the 1st of January 2026. A similar arrangement is planned for the Indian rupee, with BML working towards its implementation. Alongside currency reforms, the president announced plans to expedite the Hiavehi Housing Finance Program, aimed at assisting individuals facing financial challenges in building homes on privately owned land. The facility offers favorable terms, including a low profit margin of 5% and a repayment period of 25 years. The government has committed $64.85 million annually to the national budget to sustain the scheme. The Bank of Maldives has been tasked with administering and disbursing the funds. President Muiz underscored that these measures, addressing both immediate economic pressures and long-term social welfare, form part of the government's broader commitment to strengthening the national economy and ensuring the financial security of its people. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz, during an official visit to Kolofushi in Meme Atoll as part of a multi-atoll tour, unveils a series of development initiatives aimed at addressing housing shortages and advancing local infrastructure. A central focus of the visit was the island's housing needs. President Muiz confirmed that 100 housing flats already constructed on Kolofushi will be formally handed over to residents by the end of the year. He stated that the government is giving special priority to ensuring residents can move into these homes as soon as possible. To facilitate this, Fenaca Corporation, the state-owned utility provider, has been tasked with connecting water and sewerage systems to the completed flats, with a deadline set for year-end. The president also announced a reduction in the pricing of the housing units from approximately $324 to $216, aimed at increasing affordability for residents. Recognizing the continued demand for housing, President Muiz pledged that a project for an additional 100 flats would be incorporated into the national budget for the upcoming year. Construction on the new phase is scheduled to begin next year. The initiative will also accommodate residents who wish to build on their own private land under the same framework. 2 additional infrastructure projects were launched during the visit: the construction of a fitness and recreation center and the commencement of a road development initiative. The president described the road project as a critical effort linked to both the island's infrastructure and its economy. The president convened a formal meeting with the Kolofushi Island Council, the Women's Development Committee or WDC, and heads of local institutions at the council secretariat. Beyond institutional dialogue, the president invited members of the public to present their concerns directly. Residents requested the government expedite stalled tourism projects in the region. In response, the president stated that he would review the relevant agreements and work to resolve the matter quickly. Community members also called for the development of a football field and a handball court, facilities the president pledged to deliver. The road development initiative for Kolofushi was formally launched during President Muiz's official visit to the island and was officiated by Minister of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure Dr. Abdullah Muttalib. President Muiz's arrival on Kolofushi marked a key segment of his official tour of Meme Atoll, itself part of a wider initiative to visit all 31 inhabited islands across 4 atolls. The overarching aim is to foster direct dialogue with councils and citizens throughout the country. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz has announces a wide-ranging portfolio of development projects for the island of Muli, signaling a strategic acceleration of infrastructure and public service upgrades across Meme Atoll. At the center of the development agenda is a government-led housing initiative comprising 300 units scheduled to commence next year. President Muiz described the project as the largest earmarked for Muli in the forthcoming budget, citing the island's rising population as a key factor in the housing shortfall. The housing initiative is part of a broader effort to modernize essential infrastructure. The president confirmed that lighting installation at Muli Airport is underway, enabling nighttime landings and operations, with completion expected by next month. He highlighted the airport's role in advancing the economic development of Muli and the surrounding region. Healthcare infrastructure is also set for expansion. The development of Meme Atoll Hospital has been designated a high-priority undertaking, with the president pledging to expedite its progress. Transport connectivity will be strengthened through the early completion of the Muli-Nala Fushi Causeway, while energy reliability will be addressed with the delivery of a 100-kilowatt generator within the year. Educational facilities are slated for improvement, with plans to expand the local school by adding new classrooms next year. The president also recognized the initiation of shore protection, road development, and police station construction as critical components of the island's long-term advancement. During the visit, the contract for the Muli Coastal Protection Project was formally awarded to the Maldives Transport and Contracting Company Company or MTCC. The agreement was signed by Dr. Abdullah Muttalib, Minister of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure, and MTCC Managing Director Ahmad Saudi. A new agreement to launch waste collection services in Muli was signed between the Waste Management Corporation Limited or WAMCO and the Muli Island Council. The signing ceremony, held during a community gathering, was attended by President Muiz. Law enforcement infrastructure is also being addressed. Construction of a new police station in Muli has officially begun, with the inauguration ceremony attended by President Muiz. The event was officiated jointly by Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Ihsan, the Commissioner of Police Ismail Naveen, the local Member of Parliament, and the President of the Muli Council. The Muli Road construction project was formally launched, with Minister Muttalib officiating the commencement. Ibrahim Nazim, Managing Director of the Road Development Corporation or RDC, was also in attendance. In fulfillment of a presidential pledge, passport issuance services were inaugurated in Muli as part of a nationwide decentralization effort. Homeland Security Minister Ihsan officiated the launch during a meeting with local residents. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz assures that the land reclamation on Nala Fushi Meme Atoll will be implemented alongside the swift completion of the causeway linking Muli and Nala Fushi. During a meeting with Nala Fushi residents as part of his ongoing tour of 4 atolls, the president outlined the projects. He noted that, like some other islands in the country, Nala Fushi faces a land shortage which has constrained housing and economic growth. In response, the government has approved the island's harbor expansion, land reclamation, and beach protection projects alongside the rapid completion of the Muli Nala Fushi Causeway. The president also assured that the island's water and sewerage projects would be completed soon as requested by the island residents. In addition, construction will progress on the new police building, the fitness and recreation center, and the expansion of the school to address space constraints by the start of the next academic year. The president said the construction of the new Nala Fushi Health Center building will start within the next 2 months, featuring a 4-bed emergency room, laboratory, and other essential services. The president also mentioned that the practical work of the island waste management facility will commence this year. Earlier in the day, President Muiz met with the members of the Nala Fushi Island Council, the Women's Development Committee or WDC, and heads of local institutions to discuss the island's key development priorities. The president said the island's football field will be developed to double as a handball court and will include a rostrum and a lighting system for day and night use. He assured that the project will be contracted and commenced within the current year. The Nala Fushi Fitness and Recreation Center's foundation stone was also laid during the president's visit. During the meeting with the island's residents, Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure, and the Maldives Transport and Contracting Company or MTCC signed an agreement for the Integrated Land Reclamation and Harbor Development Project. The harbor expansion project, also awarded to MTCC, is valued at $4.18 million with a 400-day completion timeline. The project seeks to facilitate access to the island and improve cargo loading and unloading. The groundbreaking for the new council building for Nala Fushi Island Council was held as part of the president's visit, with the Minister of Cities, Local Government and Public Works Adam Sharif Umar laying the foundation stone alongside the local Member of Parliament and the council president. The foundation stone for the new police post to be developed in Nala Fushi was laid by the Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Ihsan alongside the Commissioner of Police, the Road Development Corporation or RDC's Managing Director, and the constituency's Member of Parliament and the Council President. And now we bring you the call to prayer for Isha.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدًا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقامًا محمودًا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
ದೀನುಗೆ ಶಿಯಾರು ಫಾಳು ಕುರುಮಕ ದೀನ ಉಳುಮಕ ಎವ್ವೆಸ್ ದತಿಕಮೆ ಅಲ್ಲಾಹ್ ಹಿರಾತ್ ಕುರವಿಯಾನೆ ಇಸ್ಲಾಮಿ ದಾವತ ಎವ್ವೆಸ್ ದತಿಕಮೆನ್ನೆ ಎವ್ವೆಸ್ ಹುರಹೆನ್ನೆ ಮಿತನು ವಾಕಿವೆಗೆ ನುದಾನೆ ಫದ ಗೊತ್ತಕ ಮೂ ದೇವಿ ಹರುಲಾಫ್ ಇಸ್ಲಾಂ ದೆಮ್ಮಿ ರಾಜ್ಯಗೆ ನಿವನಿ ಎಮೀದು ದೇವಿ ರಾಜ್ಯಗೆ ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ರೈತಕೋಸ್ ಅಜಮ್ ಕಡಾಳಂಬಿ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಮು ಗೊತ್ತುಗ ತೀವೆ ಅವನ್ನ ಮಿದುನೆ ದೂಕು
ರಾಜ್ಯ ಇಸ್ಲಾಂ ವಿದುವಸ್ ಬುದ್ಧ ದೋಹುಗೆರೆ ದಿಹಗಡಿ ತಿರಿಹುಗ PSMUC
Welcome back to our English news program. We continue with the local headlines. Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Abdullah Khalil calls for Israeli leaders to be held accountable for genocide and war crimes against Palestinian Muslims. His strong remarks, shared on social media, follow his attendance at the high-level international conference on the question of Palestine and the implementation of the two-state solution in New York. In his post, Minister Dr. Khalil affirmed the Maldives' unwavering commitment to advocating for the Palestinian people. He asserted that this United Nations conference sent a clear message to establish justice and security for Palestinians and uphold international law. Minister Dr. Khalil further stated that the international community now recognizes the need to hold Israel and its leaders accountable for genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. The high-level UN conference on the question of Palestine, which the minister attended, took place on Monday. The meeting was co-chaired by Saudi Arabia and France, serving as a significant platform for international discourse on the ongoing crisis in the region. The minister's comments come amidst escalating hostilities in Gaza. Since October 7, 2023, Israel has carried out attacks on Gaza City with no regard to the safety of innocent civilians. The ongoing onslaught have reportedly resulted in the deaths of more than 65,000 people, with severe restrictions on the entry of food and aid, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in the besieged territory. The Maldives and Hungary signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, which will facilitate scholarship opportunities for Maldivian students. The MOU on cooperation within the framework of the Stipendium Hungaricum program for the years 2025 to 2027 was signed in New York at the sidelines of the high-level week of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The MOU was signed on behalf of the government of Maldives by Dr. Abdullah Khalil, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and on behalf of the government of Hungary by Peter Szijjártó, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this MOU will provide 25 scholarships for Maldivian students to pursue undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral level studies at Hungarian universities between 2025 and 2027. The Stipendium Hungaricum program, established by the government of Hungary, aims to attract international students and foster personal and professional connections with Hungary while offering access to high-quality education in the heart of Europe. Insights into world business. All three of the major U.S. stock indexes register record closing highs for a third straight session as shares of Nvidia rose after it said it will invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI. Also boosting indexes, shares of Apple rose after Wedbush raised the stock's target price on strong demand signs for the iPhone 17. Some Fed officials made remarks doubting the need for further rate cuts. Last week, the U.S. Central Bank cut rates by 25 basis points and indicated more cuts would come at its upcoming meetings. Both St. Louis Fed President Alberto Mussolem and Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic, in separate remarks, said that while the Fed's quarter of a percentage point rate cut at last week's meeting was appropriate as a way to manage the risk of rising unemployment, lowering inflation remains the priority.
The market reactions since the Fed started its new rate cutting cycle last week has been pretty interesting. One thing we saw is that the market on the equity side of things was pretty happy about that. We're up a bit today. Tech stocks continue to rally. The bond market's a different story, though. We've seen interest rates, in particular 10-year, 20-year, 30-year long bond, those interest rates have gone up since the Fed cut rates last week.
However, Fed Governor Stephen Miran, who last week dissented when the Fed cut the benchmark rate by 0.25 percentage point and said a half-point cut was warranted, said the monetary policy is well into restrictive territory. The S&P 500 gained 29.39 points or 0.44% to end at 6,693.75 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 157.5 points or 0.70% to 22,788.98. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 66.27 points or 0.14% to 46,381.54. Taking a look at sports, Paris Saint-Germain's France international Ousmane Dembélé says winning the Ballon d'Or was never a personal goal, but admitted he could not hold back tears when he spoke about his family after being named the world's best player. The forward became the first Frenchman since Karim Benzema in 2022 to lift the prize after helping PSG claim their maiden Champions League crown last season. Dembélé's prize was one of several for PSG, who won the treble of Champions League, Ligue 1 and the French Cup last season, as well as the UEFA Super Cup this year. Barcelona midfielder and Spain international Aitana Bonmati, meanwhile, won the Women's Ballon d'Or for the third time in a row. The 27-year-old won a league and cup double with her club last season while finishing runner-up to Arsenal in the Women's Champions League final, a tournament for which she was named Player of the Season. Bonmati was also part of a Spanish side which lost the Women's Euro final to England on penalties. And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.